All right, so I got a hold of this. It is the new Omvi 3i PoE camera by Reolink. I bought this, they did not give it to me. I'm going to tell you about the specs on it, and then we're going to install it, and then we're going to test it out. This is a 180-degree camera, so there's two cameras here, and then this is the third camera. So this is a really cool camera, and I'm going to use it in a way that it's not, they don't advertise it as intended. I'm going to use it to create a 240-degree field of view. Okay, so here's your 180 degrees there, and this does tilt down 20 degrees. So Reolink says put it no higher than 11 feet off the ground, so we're going to comply with that. And then this one is your turning camera. So we're going to do something like that where these cameras are facing this way and this one's facing this way. So we're basically able to see around the corner. That's the first time we've ever been able to do that with a camera. This spins around 350 degrees, so it has a stopping point right there. So keep that in mind when you're installing it. But I guess you're going to have to mainly focus on these guys. It has better AI than the other cameras. We're going to test that out. It has local storage like all the other Reolink cameras. So you just put a micro SD card in there or hook it up to an NVR. You can also put it on the cloud if you want to. IP66 waterproof, so it's designed to be outside. It also has a time-lapse feature, which we'll see if we can test that out as well. Let's talk about the installation process. Okay, so quickly, let's look and see what we got in the box here. I have a little template here for the installation. It's your Reolink sticker, and then this part's important. So this is your waterproofing if you're going to have the connection in a place where it's going to get water. And we will use that for the installation. And then look at these screws here, and I'm Canadian, and these are Phillips head screws, so these go in the garbage. And we got ourselves some Robbies. This is the mounting bracket that they give you. So you just take this off here, and this just slides out. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so while we're at it here, here is where your micro SD card goes in. So you gotta take this off of here, and then you put your card in. I've already got a 512 megabit card in there. Okay, and then when you install this, which you'll see in a moment, then it just slides into place. Well, you put these set screws in to hold it in. Ceiling mount, wall mount, pretty straightforward. This camera weighs almost 3 pounds. So if you're putting it in an aluminum soffit, ordinarily I would do this with the drywall anchors, and this works great. But this camera is considerably lighter. So those just snap into the soffit, and then it just holds it, right? If you think that 3 pounds is too heavy for your aluminum soffit, you're gonna have to find a way to reinforce it. That'll probably involve popping the soffit off and putting a board up above. Or you can get one of these, and we'll have all this stuff linked below too. So this is a pipe camera adapter thingy. I don't know what it's called. I'll have to find it for you. But anyway, if you put up a J-arm, it can be pretty much any kind of a pipe. And that just really goes there, and then you fasten it to it. That allows you to have the flexibility. That's basically how you're gonna have to mount it. So you have to figure out what application you want to use. Okay, so now let's talk about power. So this is a PoE, like I said, which stands for power over Ethernet. Okay, which means that it's going to get its electrical power through an Ethernet cable. And you're going to need a PoE injector, which does not come with the camera. You're going to have to order that separately, but like I said, we'll link that too. So what you do is you plug it into the PoE part, plug it in like that, and then your other one, which is going to go into the LAN port, this is going to plug into your router. So this blue cable is going to be replaced with a much longer cable. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So before you do the installation, well, you're going to want to power it up. I have to put an end on this cable. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how I put ends on a Cat5 cable, just because I have to do it right now because I need to use this longer cable for our demonstration here. So I get all of them peeled off, and then you can find the color codes on this. It actually says it right on the tool. So basically, you're going to have the tab down. You get your little tab there. So it's going to go down, and then you're going to start off with the orange stripe, and then I just push it right through like that. And then the next one is the orange one, and you got to make sure that you're in the next one because they'll have to go in specific order. Okay, and these, I don't know who designed this, but the color design on this is weird. So now I'm going to green stripe, and then I'm going to blue solid. And then I'm going to blue stripe. And then I'm going to green solid. Then I'm going to brown stripe. And brown solid. And just pull them all like that. So this is a pass-through end, obviously. That's because the wires passed through it. Okay, now I'm going to grab my crimper here. I'm going to put it in. Make sure it's in all the way. Crimp it 3 times is enough just to make sure. So it also cut the ends off, if you can see that. So you get a nice finished end there now. Not hard to do at all. If you're going to be doing a bunch of Ethernet cables, or if you want custom lengths with these, then that might be something to consider picking up. Going back to the PoE injector, this is what you're going to have if you got 1 or 2 cameras. If you've got any more than 1 or 2 cameras, you might want to use a PoE switch, which can run 4, 8, or 16 cameras, depending on the switch that you get. We will show you a picture of mine in the house. I'll take this because I have to run this across the room to the internet. Okay, so you see the blue lights on? And now it's going to rotate and come to life. Okay, so at this point, if you have not put your memory card in, put the memory card in. And then you're going to download the Reolink app. And then you are going to go into the app and open it up, and we're going to show you that here. And then you're going to just scan the QR code, and then it's going to ask you to initialize the camera, create a password, and then after the camera is programmed, then we install it, because you don't want to have to go up a ladder and try to scan that QR code after it's installed. Ask me how I know. Let's go install it. Okay, so as you've seen, we have it working now. So one quick note, if you did get the Wi-Fi version, you're likely going to get a plug with it. Make sure you check the contents of the package. And then you can buy an extension cable if you need to, because you're going to have to plug it into here to power the camera, because it doesn't have the PoE, because it's not a PoE camera. Let's make this end waterproof or water resistant. Keep in mind that you do not want this to be out in a torrential downpour. It is going to be keeping water from getting into it to a certain extent, but you get a ton of water, it's probably going to penetrate it. Okay, so first thing, we're going to take this, put that through, get this little ring here. This is always my favorite part. Okay, so that goes down there. This is going to go through here like that. Snap into there. Got a little seal in there. Okay, now we're going to put this one on here. Get that jammed in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but it's not super tight. So that's what I mean. If you're going to have it outside in the weather, hopefully you can tuck it away, but make sure you have this end down, because this end it can't penetrate because it's all sealed up. Okay, so you got to bear with me a little bit here. We are under renovations, and the way the roof was done was not right. So anyway, this is ordinarily how a soffit would come. I ended up just sticking that board up there for the purpose of this video. This will all be boxed in all the way up when I'm done. So anyway, for right now, this is what we got to work with. Because I'm going to be mounting it up here, that is the way the bracket goes. If you're mounting it on a wall, that is the way the bracket goes. Okay, so I'm just going to put it here. I'd like to be over this way a little bit more, but this is in the way, and this is for demonstration and only, so it's coming back down again. Okay, do not drop. Okay, so in this instance, once again, it doesn't matter because I'm taking it back down, but I should have waited until after I put this up, because this wire should have went through this hole in this particular instance. Okay, so just put these in here so it doesn't fall out. This is a very good mounting design. Reolink's always very good with their mounts. Okay, so I'll fine tune that after it's plugged in, but for right now, okay, we got to think about a cable run here. So you're gonna have to get as creative as you can to make sure that this thing, you know, is hidden away, whether or not you got to tie it behind a camera or get it through the soffit, whatever you can do. And then for the wiring, if you have to run it down, you can just tuck it in behind the siding if you have vinyl siding. One of the things about that is if somebody wants to cut the wire, they can reach it. If you leave it up high, and I just happen to already have a hole here. Gravity did not help me. I'm in Canada, if you can't tell. There's always a hockey stick around every corner. So, yeah, another thing too, when you're putting cameras up, this one said it didn't want to be any higher than 11 feet. My rule of thumb, because I am a Canadian and there's always at least 3 hockey sticks on every property, try to get the camera up high enough that you can't hit it. All right, so just plug it back in. Now if we go look at the camera, it's gonna probably do all of its rotating and everything again. Then as far as the cabling is concerned, like I said, do whatever you can to keep it tidy. And where it goes through the wall, put some sort of a clip on here to hold it, and then either fill the hole with silicone or putty, and that'll be good. But you want the wire to come down. That way if the water hits the cable, it doesn't steer into the hole. It's called a drip loop for a reason.
Okay, so let's go over some of the features in the app. Oh, wait, I'm not Greg. That's right, I'm his son, Jonathan. And since I am a bit better with phones, I decided I will go over the app section in this video. First thing is pan, tilt, zoom. Well, just pan and tilt on this camera. You can move it around. Has a nice sweep option. You can just press and it will do a pan of the entire area. That's very handy. You can also set a monitor point. We have it sitting off over there most of the time, but right now it's locked on me. So if I walk over here, it'll follow me and so on. You can also set a bunch of preset points. So you could just hit one and it will go to whatever point you have it set at. Kind of handy if you have a lot of places you want to monitor. And you can set up patrol routes using 4 of those preset points. You can set a route that it will go over like every hour or so. There's not really a way to change that, unfortunately. You can change how long it spends on each location, but you can't actually change how often it does it, which is one thing I really would like to see. You also have the option to calibrate the camera in that submenu. Now the next option down there, which is actually very handy for this camera, is the pinpoint feature. If I go into the pinpoint menu and I select on the big camera, for example, our septic tank, the tracking camera will automatically go right over to the septic tank or wherever you point it at. One hit, it goes exactly where it is, which is really nice because pan tilt feature, it's sometimes a bit laggy, especially if you're using remote access. So next up is your option to talk through the camera. I don't really use this option. Speakers and microphone in this thing, pretty bad. Doesn't matter what kind of camera you're getting, they're gonna be pretty bad no matter what. Also have the option for playback, and that's very handy. You can see everything you've recorded. Also in the playback menu, you can choose what speed playback, all the standard playback options, but you can also use AI search. So if you search for a specific like person's clothing or something, for example, I searched man in black shirt with 3 white ducks and my dad letting the birds out this morning came up. On the playhead, you have your standard options. You've got pause, mute, screenshot, record, quality, and full screen. All pretty straightforward. And at the top, you've got spotlight, alarm, little square option that basically just puts all of your cameras on screen if you want to have a nice convenient way to look at them. And settings. Settings is where most of the options for this camera are located. All your information is in the top option. Display, you got the stream option that lets you set the quality of the stream. Very useful if you're wanting either the best quality or if you're on a limited data situation or low speed situation, then you can turn things down a lot more. Okay, so while editing, I noticed we missed a few things, so I will be popping in from now to then to explain some things that we missed. So the first thing we missed is the resolution of the cameras. The top camera is 10 megapixels and the bottom camera is 8 megapixels. The top camera has a resolution of 5120 by 1920 and the other camera has your standard 4K 3840 by 2160. You can click to show motion boxes. That will basically track things when you are on the clear preset. So when you're watching in high quality, you'll see boxes around movement. Very handy. Can also move around the camera name, the date, and turn on or off the Reolink watermark, which I pretty much always just turn off because, well, I like camera name and date, Reolink just isn't useful to have on the screen. Image settings, anti-flicker is usually correct. You can also adjust the brightness. That also I would leave at default. There's not really any reason to change these settings unless you have problems. Speaking of not changing the setting unless you have problems, next up is image stitching. Now, when we first booted it up in the shop, the image stitching was really bad, and that's because it's preset for 8 meters distance. So everything looks pretty good on the Duo camera the way we have it set up now on default. But if it doesn't line up, all you have to do is just change these settings until it looks good. One thing to note with the image stitching is that the exposure can get off. Like if there's a big light on one side, then one side will seem darker than the other. You can see that in this clip with this intruder, where one side is much brighter and one side is much darker. This is just because there's two cameras and they just have to adjust for their own exposure value. I don't know if there's a setting to fix this. Brightness seems to do the whole camera, so I think that you're just gonna have to try to make sure the light sources are pretty even on both sides. Day and night settings, it's all on auto, which basically means like it'll turn on if there's movement or whatever. It's probably best just to leave it that way. If you want color night vision all night, you can do that, but then you'll have spotlights going and that could interfere with your sleep if you're near the cameras. You can also turn on a privacy mask that basically will just put a black box over any part of the video. It's kind of useful if you want to show someone part of your screen, but not all of it. So sounds, you're going to want to make sure record audio is on. I'm not sure if this comes enabled by default. On some of our other cameras it didn't, and I didn't get this one right away. It was already programmed by the time I got to it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it starts that way or not. You can also do a sound test and turn on or off noise reduction and adjust that. And the light section is pretty much the same thing as the night mode. You could either enable the status LED or turn it off. You can also turn the spotlight off, on during certain times, or on night smart mode, which is where I'll keep it. You can also change the brightness a little bit. You can also adjust the infrared for black and white night vision. Now next up we have detection alarm, and there are a lot more types of detection on this camera than the other ones we have. You've got person, vehicle, animal, and motion like normal. You also can do a non-detection zone. This is pretty standard. You also have forgotten objects, so you can set a zone, and after a certain amount of time, an object left in that zone will trigger a notification. You can do the same thing if an object is removed from a zone. You also can set up line crossing and zone intrusion alerts, as well as a zone loitering alert. If there's a line that I've drawn over there, I get alerted every time someone crosses it. You could do the same thing with a boxed in zone, or with the loitering option if someone spends too long in a zone. Another thing I didn't really mention is when setting up motion alerts, you can use motion alert schedule. So if you want to have a really high motion detection one time a day, really low another time a day, off another time a day, you can do that. It's the same as all the other scheduling. So pretty easy to set up. Next up is camera recording. You're going to want to make sure this is set properly, because when motion recording is on, it can sometimes make mistakes. I have missed some recordings because this camera is a lot better with the detection, but you're still going to want to fine tune it. But our other cameras have made mistakes, and pretty much all of them are on 24/7 right now. But you could set up a schedule for motion recording when that's allowed to go off, and continuous recording when that's allowed to go off. Right now we're just 24/7 continuous. One thing to note is you can adjust the object size, minimum and maximum, and the sensitivity to fine tune the detection. That way you're not getting a bunch of false alerts. You can also make it so that it will only go off if the thing is detected for more than a certain amount of time, which is really handy if you have a road and cars are just passing by. You want to have maybe 5 seconds so that you can see if someone's parked at your driveway. The next section is the notification settings. So push notifications, email notifications, you might want to limit how often they can come through. But the next good setting to look at is sync track. So with sync track, if you have the bottom camera rotated away from the field of view from the big camera, if someone is picked up on the big camera, it will automatically go and track them. That's what it's doing to me right now. The automatic position is pointed away from this zone. So if it was just a single camera, it would never detect me here. It knows I'm here because of the duo camera up top. You can also customize this. Right now I have it set to only person, but you could have it do animal and vehicle as well. If I set to animal, it'll be going all over the place. You could also set a range and a schedule and when to stop tracking. All very useful things that you'll want to fine tune on your own. You can also enable the siren when motion is detected. If you have motion sensitivity on high or not really low anyway, you're going to want to have this turned off like I do. Let me turn it on for an example. Right away. There's always motion. At the higher settings, even wind in the trees will set it off, which can get really annoying. You can also link a device to do smart stuff. So like if it detects something, it will send an alert to something else. For example, if the camera detects a person walking somewhere, then you could turn on a light somewhere. I don't really want to experiment with that because I don't really have any smart lights to experiment with that, but it's just something cool you can do. You can also share the device to another Reolink user, and there's a time-lapse feature, pretty much just something you can do. Like, it takes up a lot of space, and I don't even know if you can download it, but it's something you can do at least. You can also turn on file encryption, just protect your stuff with a password, and then you have just your advanced settings like password changing in time, pretty standard stuff. So that's pretty much everything I'm able to show. Should have examples for everything at some point on the screen. This camera is really cool because it kind of replaces two cameras at the same time. It does the duo's job and it does the track mix job, besides the zooming in part. Maybe next generation they'll put the zoom lens on it and then we'll have the ultimate Reolink camera. But I don't know. It's really nice though. The motor doesn't really make much sound while it's tracking. Footage looks pretty good. Like, I mean, security cameras always have smaller sensors and record at lower bit rates. So it's not going to look great like the footage from the video camera, but it still looks quite good. And at 20 FPS, it's more than serviceable. Based off how much data we've used, I'd say that this thing can probably do about 3 to 4 days of 24/7 recording from both cameras before it fills up a 512 gigabyte SD card. We will have this camera linked below on Amazon. We'll also probably link a few other cameras as well as some accessories. Just because this is a very expensive camera, you might want some cheaper cameras. We're going to do more camera reviews in the future. Thanks for watching. Normally my dad would be doing the outro, but he's very busy right now, so I've sort of taken over on this video. That's why it's taken so long. Hopefully we can get some more videos out sooner. And here's another video you might be interested in.